how did I get this lettering to look like it was actually on this man's t-shirt? Or for that matter, how can I get any object to look like it's actually sitting on the surface of something in Photoshop? I'm starting with this picture, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the background layer and then hide the original. So I'm all working in the copy layer. The first thing I'm going to do is select subject and then inverse and cut so that I got rid of the background. And now I want to just select his t-shirt, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to bring that and paste it in its own layer, because that's the only thing that I need right now is the t-shirt. So I'm just doing a quick selection of the t-shirt, edit copy, edit paste, and I'm using curves to increase the contrast. And then I'm going to hit image and black and white. And I'm going to copy it and paste it right into another layer. And that is the layer I'm going to be working on with the t-shirt. So now I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to save it as t-shirt black and white. But I'm going to save it as a PSD, a Photoshop file. So after I make it black and white and increase the contrast, I'm going to save it as a Photoshop file. And then I'm going to create a lettering layer, a text layer right on top of it. And I'm going to just type in what I want to say. I'm going to set the font, I'm going to set the size of the text, and then I'm going to convert the text to a smart object. All you have to do is right click on the text layer and hit convert to smart object. Let me just finish typing in the text, getting the size right, getting the font right, getting the color right. I'm going to position it as best I can over the shirt right now. And then I'm going to convert it to a smart object. I'm just going to go right over to the layer, right click, and convert to smart object. When I'm done, I'm going to go up to filter and then distort and displace. So what I'm doing is I'm actually creating what's called a displacement map. So it's just filter. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. I'm messing around with the size a little bit. Now filter, distort, displace. And it's asking me what the source file is, so I go back and I find that Photoshop file that I saved of the black and white t-shirt. And what the displacement map does is it distorts to the exact t-shirt. A displacement map reads any light color as being near you and dark colors and wrinkles as being further away from you, and it forms around those so that it actually looks like it's forming onto the 3D object. Now, the mode that I have now is normal. So if you look at where it says normal, right above the layer menu, I'm going to click on that, and there's a lot of choices there. There's multiply, there's soft light, there's overlay. There's a lot of different choices there, and some of them are going to look better than others. And this is one of those cases of no one size fits all. On one object, overlay might look better, on another multiply might look better, on another soft light might look better. It depends on what the background is and what sort of look you are trying to go for. But once you have found it, that pretty much is it. In this case, I wasn't 100% thrilled with how the lettering looked. It still didn't look like it was sitting properly on his shirt. It confirmed to all the wrinkles of his shirt, but he's standing at a 3/4 pose, and his the shoulder that's on the left-hand side of the picture is a little bit farther away than the other shoulder, and it looks still like it's facing, all the letters are facing towards me. So what I did was I right-clicked on the layer and rasterized it, which means I turned it from a smart object back to pixels, and then I hit edit, transform, and perspective, and I transformed it so that the left-hand side was a little bit smaller, so it looked like it was in the correct perspective. And then I unhid the bottom layer so that we could actually see what it looked like. And I actually thought it was a little bit too bright, so I made the black and white t-shirt that I'd created before visible. And then I didn't want it to be 100% opaque, so I just changed the opacity on the t-shirt layer, and that's how I ended up with my final finished product, which I'm very pleased with. And now we're going to see the same thing on a female model, and she's not wearing a plain t-shirt. She's actually wearing a shirt with a little bit of texture. So let's see how this works on her. I put this lettering on her, and you could see that it actually confirms to the texture of her shirt. So let me show you how it works. The process is essentially the same. I'm going to open up the image of the woman. I have to find her first. And there she is. And click on it. I'm going to open her up, and I'm going to isolate the t-shirt. This took some doing because, well, first of all, I'm going to make a copy of the original, and you need to keep the original. Don't forget to do that. And then I deleted the background. I hid the original layer, and then I had to select her shirt, which was a little bit of a challenge because part of it was covered by her hair. It took a little doing. I used the magic wand, the quick selection. I added to the selection. I subtracted from the selection. And I pretty much got most of the shirt. So I'll skip ahead to curves to make up the contrast and make the darkest shadows dark and the lightest lights light. I changed the contrast so that I got some light lights and some dark shadows. I made just the shirt black and white. I hit edit, copy, and I put it in its own layer. Then I saved it as a woman's shirt black and white. And make sure it's a Photoshop file. Displacement grids do not work unless they have a Photoshop file to reference to. So once I'm done with that, I created a text layer. I controlled the size of the text. I controlled the color of the text and what font I used. And once I was happy with it, I turned it into a smart object. And then I hit distort and displace. And I referenced the Photoshop file, which is the woman's black and white shirt, and there is my displacement grid. It looks like it's actually conforming to the wrinkles of her shirt. And then it's just a matter of what filter you want. Do you want overlay? Do you want multiply? Do you want soft light? There's a lot of different looks you can go for, but the nice thing is, in addition to it conforming to the wrinkles on her shirt and the lights and darks and looking like it's sitting on there, it actually picks up the texture of her shirt, so it looks very realistic. Displacement maps are very useful if you are testing out a design. This is Rachel Winneberg, the Helpful Art Teacher. Happy designing.